Alright, Freedom Planet is a game that I've been meaning to play before I even found out about the sequel. I first found out about it when I watched Honest Bigum's video on the game, and it got me interested in it, but I never got around to playing it until the Steam Summer Sale last year, and I wouldn't actually play the game until a couple months later. But playing the game was on my to-do list though, but I just had too much to Sly Cooper on the mind to even give it a shot. It also really helps that this game has a lot of inspiration from classic Sonic, but I've always had more vibes from the Sonic Advance games to get a more modern look, but the Advance games were inspired by the classic games too, so I guess it's nothing different then. I thought that the game was like something that I'd be interested in, you know, I like the art design, I heard a lot of great stuff about it, so you know, so it's a good thing that I finally got around to playing this game for myself. Anyway, Freedom Planet was developed by GalaxyTrail and it was released back in 2014, and it was originally supposed to be a Sonic fan game, but then the developer realized, hey, I'm putting this much effort into a fan game, why not just make it into something completely original? I know some homie Johnny already said this, but it wouldn't be too surprising to hear it, that it came up with the name Freedom Planet because of Sonic OVA, where the main setting of that movie was called Planet Freedom, or just Earth. I hear people calling this game a straight up Sonic clone, and I get where people are coming from when they say that, but at the same time, I feel like that's kinda bull. It definitely plays and looks like a Sonic game, but it's not really a Sonic game. I mean, there's a lot of things that Freedom Planet does similarly to classic Sonic. I mean, at points, I just get vibes from it and just think, that's just straight up ripped from Sonic. But there's also a lot of stuff that it does different, and that includes a much more evolved story than classic Sonic. When starting a new save file, it gives you the option to either play the game in classic mode, where you can just play the game from stage to stage from start to finish, and adventure mode, where you can play it throughout the game and watch cutscenes at the same time too. So here's if you want to play through the game as normal, then you choose classic mode, but if you're interested in the story, then you pick adventure mode. Since I can't review the entire game without looking at the story, let's just get into it anyway. On the planet of Avolis, there are 3 kingdoms that have coexisted for a long time: Shang, Shang 2, and Shuigong. Recently, there's been a little tension over their shared powerful orb known as the Kingdom Stone as their sole source of energy. A powerful intergalactic warlord named Lord Brevin wants the Kingdom Stone for himself, and he goes about that by murdering Shuigong's old monarch and manipulating Prince Dale to order Shuigong to mobilize for war, which causes more unease between the 2 other kingdoms. 2 residents of Avolis who live in a secret treehouse in a forest away from the 3 kingdoms, Satch Lilac and Carol T, rescue a shell-duck creature named Tor after his spacecraft crashes into Dragon Valley. They let him stay in their treehouse while he repairs his spaceship, and they also told him that Mirror Zhao and the Shang army are going to steal the Kingdom Stone. Lilac and Carol volunteered to tell the soldiers to guard the Kingdom Stone about Zhao's plans while Torkis settles in. When the 2 of them arrive at the Stone's temple, they meet Nero Lee and General Zong, 2 guards from the Shang 2, and they don't buy that the stone's going to get stolen until they hear about a sneak attack. Carol and Lilac go in to find the stone before the army gets there first. They end up being too late, and the stone's taken by Spade, the leader of the Red Scars, the person who taught Lilac and Carol how to fight when they were young. They try to escape, but Carol gets caved in, but she's saved at the last minute by an orphan who's named Mila, and she's been following them throughout the cave too. Lilac and Carol take Mila to her treehouse as thanks. Later that night, Carol and Lilac see that Torque has completely changed his appearance to something more alien-like. Torque confesses that he's from another planet and that he's a member of the Galactic Alliance, and it was given a mission to stop Lord Brevin from taking the Kingdom Stone. His mission was to convince the leaders of the 3 kingdoms to band together against him. He also reveals that if they can't stop Lord Brevin, then he'll have to destroy the Kingdom Stone, destroying Avolis' only source of power. Lilac, Carol, and Mila have volunteered to help out Torque as long as they keep it a secret. I gotta be honest, I wasn't really that interested in the story. It's not that I thought it was bad, I like the idea of Brevin brainwashing a prince and starting a war with everyone, but it really feels like Freedom Planet has a problem with its pacing because almost after every level, you get hit with over 10 minutes of cutscenes, and it happens all the time. So it's kinda obvious that they wanted you to pay attention, but honestly, after a while, it kinda just drained me, but thankfully on repeated playthroughs, I can just skip them or just play the game on classic mode so I can just go from stage to stage. But I really feel like most of the footage in this video is almost completely cutscenes. If you play this game on classic mode or just skip all the cutscenes, you could beat this game in about 1 to 2 hours. So it really just feels like 75% of it is just cutscenes when the other 25% is just gameplay. And the thing about that is that I don't even think that the story was even bad. Like, I like the characters. I love how Brevin just does the shit that he does without hesitation. I thought Lilac, Carol, and Torque were all pretty cool, and it really helps that the voice actors are really giving their all in this game. Lord Brevin especially, Alexander Barriga did such a great job making him sound as intimidating as possible.
You think you're some blameless force of nature, don't you? That the rules don't apply to you!
It's my world on the line. You know exactly how far I'll go to ensure its safety.
Your world is in danger because of the suffering you cause to the other worlds!
My actions have hurt people? I had no idea. I'm dreadfully sorry.
Really? He's lying!
But I also really like Dawn Bennett as Lilac. She sounds really down to earth and natural sounding in this game. I think Carol's the only character in this game I would say her voice could have been better. Like, no disrespect to Amanda Lai, Carol's voice actor, but there's just something about her voice that just kind of sounds off to me.
Lilac! Lilac! Torxa! I went down there and he's...
Calm down. What is it?
Torque turned into an alien or something.
What?
Just come with me, come on!
I probably had a bad dream.
I'm serious, get up! Come on, get up!
I also don't think that Freedom Planet story is that good with its tone either. I'm not sure if the game's main demographic is older teens and young adults or kids because of the character designs and some of the concept art too. The game opens up with Lord Brevin Sherlock decapitating the king of Shuigon while his son watches, and in one scene later in the game, Brevin captures Lilac and he starts electrocuting her while she's screaming her soul out, and Torque is begging him to stop. Like, that's pretty fucked up, and in the next scene later, there's a lot of humor that wouldn't be too out of place in a SpongeBob episode, and it just creates a lot of tonal whiplash. I'm all for a story that takes itself serious but has some humor every once in a while. That's literally why I love Sonic Frontier's story, but I wouldn't say that it's well written in here though. I can only hope that in the next game that we look at in this video, they'll handle this a lot better, but all I can give the story is an A for effort. But I don't really see that as a downside because, and I really mean it when I say this too, but Freedom Planet is worth a $15 asking price just from its base gameplay. So like I said before, this game was inspired a lot by classic Sonic, but I don't feel like it's fair to call it a complete Sonic clone because, yeah, it does a lot of the same things from Sonic like level design, level gimmicks, and even the characters. Not by design obviously, but how they're labeled. Lilac is the Sonic of the game, Mila is Tails, and I guess Carol is kind of like Knuckles depending on how you look at it. Between the three characters, Lilac's my favorite to play as. She's the most agile in the group and has the most attack options. She has this hair whip animation, which I didn't know she was whipping her hair until I looked at the animation closer. This is her main attack option. She has an uppercut move, which is one of my favorite moves. It has a lot of range and it's great for taking out airborne enemies, but it's also good for getting a lot of height too. Her Dragon Cyclone is pretty useful, it doubles as a double jump and an attack too. Her most defining move is her Dragon Boost, which lets her blast her with Sonic speed when her meter is full, but she can't go straight up or straight down though, but I don't really see that as a problem. It's good for offense too, but there are some times where you can Dragon Boost at the wrong time and it can leave you waiting until your meter is full. But overall, I like Lilac, her levels are fun, and playing as her in boss fights are just as fun, but I feel like I like playing as Carol in boss fights more just because of her motorcycle. A green wildcat riding a motorcycle. Even things post-necessary stuff that Freedom Planet borrows from Sonic. I wonder if she gets a gun in the sequel. Oh wow, her sister has one. Fuck me. Anyway, Carol's really fast on her motorcycle, she can drive up walls, do a spin jump with it, and it's really great for finding collectibles, and it's so much fun using this thing in bosses too. Without the motorcycle, she's not as agile or fast as Lilac. She can attack faster than her, but she doesn't have as many attack options. She can scale up walls like X and Mega Man X, and she can also do this roll move that's kind of like Sonic's roll in the older Sonic games, but it doesn't really feel as free-flowing as it did in those games. Mila is my least favorite character to play as. I think she's supposed to be the hard mode of the game. She has a great flurry jump and she has great defensive abilities like her shield that can block enemy projectiles, and she attacks with it too, but she can only use it when she's immobilized. Her offensive abilities are just laughable. She can materialize a Phantom Cube and throw it, but it takes a little bit long for it to materialize, and since this is a fast-paced platformer, it kind of brings down the pace, but she can combine it with her shield move, which unleashes a strong energy burst, and this immediately became my main attack for her. I don't think Mila is bad, but she's definitely not as good as Lilac and maybe even Carol too. All the characters control pretty well, I just wish that you can control them with the D-pad and not an analog stick. I don't know if this is just a PlayStation controller, but for some reason the analog stick is the only option to play this game, and I usually like playing 2D games with the D-pad because it just feels more natural for me. That's just what bothers me personally, but I know most people won't really care. There's 14 levels in this game, and they all have their own gimmicks that are specific to that level. They can take about like 8 to 10 minutes to beat early on, but in the late game, they can go as long as 30 minutes, and I know that might sound terrible for some people, but honestly, I never even noticed it most of the time because I was just having so much fun with the levels. In these days, you can find items like keystones, which I don't really know what to do, a fuel tank for Carol's motorcycle, life portals for your health, and crystal shards for your useless life counter. Even when you get a game over, you start from your last checkpoint, you have a unlimited continue, so at that point, why not just give us unlimited lives? But since the late game levels can get pretty long, it's probably a good thing that getting a game over doesn't make you replay the same stage all over again. There's a lot of power-ups in this game, like a shield that extracts crystal shards, a fire shield that makes you immune to fire attacks and fire hazards, a water shield which is kind of like the bubble shield from Sonic 3, a solar crystal that makes you immune to electric attacks, a green crystal that gives you an extra life every time you get 20 crystal shards, and invincibility crystal which lasts for 30 seconds, and you also can't drown, get crushed, or die from bottomless pits, which is kind of weird, but also kind of refreshing that a game like this has invincibility that doesn't let you die when we get crushed or fall down a bottomless pit. I kind of wish that the characters had more invincibility frame because it's way too easy to get stun locked by a laser or other hazards. Every level in this game ends with a boss fight, and I gotta say the boss fights in Freedom Planet are some of the best parts of the game, mainly when you're playing against Lilac and Carol. Not so much Mila, since you kinda have to play the waiting game while fighting. With Lilac and Carol, everything is so fast and frantic, and the boss fights really test your reflexes too. I think the final boss is the best example of this because it's nothing big or fancy, it's just a simple one-on-one match with you and Brevin. The music also helps with making this encounter feel as tense as possible. The music in Freedom Planet in general is so high energy, and I actually bought the whole soundtrack right after when I first played through. The game also looks really pretty too. The character sprites have so much detail, all the backgrounds are colorful, the levels don't look the same, and the character animations look pretty good. I like how all the characters react when they're going fast. Overall, I think that Freedom Planet is a great experience from start to finish. Yeah, I didn't really care for the story, but for $15, you can do a lot worse. So because of this fast gameplay and fun boss fights, Freedom Planet got overwhelmingly positive reviews, and a sequel was announced to be in development in early 2017, and a demo came out for it too. And it wouldn't come out until 5 years later. I mean, I don't know, I feel like the game could have came out a little like 2 years earlier if it wasn't for this like pandemic that we're in right now. I remember seeing like the release date of like September 22 and thinking like, okay, maybe like they're gonna like announce that it's gonna come out that day and it's gonna like delay it back. But honestly, when the game came out, it really just fell through the radar because like I really didn't see a lot of people talking about the game when it first came out. I saw my friend Cliff Durwell doing a let's play on the game, but other than that, I saw nothing about it. I was planning on getting it anyway, but it really feels like people just kind of forgot about it after 4 to 5 years of just waiting and just moving on to something else. I feel like being released a week after Splatoon 3 kind of played a factor in that too, because that's a big AAA title. But see, this game still delivers on the high-speed action that the first game did. Like always, we're going to start with the story, and I'm just going to say it right now, for my main playthrough, I play as Lilac since this game is a lot longer than the first game. I tried out the other characters just for this video, and I'll be explaining the story from her point of view, since the story is the same for every character. It all just kind of depends on perspective. 3 years after the events of the last game, Lilac sees monsters trashing the area. She then sees Carol on her motorcycle chasing after it. After defeating a robot, she and Carol see that their treehouse are destroyed, and they decide to go over to Mila's lab to see if they can stay there until their treehouse gets fixed. I don't know how Mila went from hiding in the woods to running a lab, but okay. Nearly from the last game tells the trio that the Magister wants to see them. There have been a lot of creature attacks that have been going around in Avalis, but the Magister hints that there's more to it, so he sends Lilac, Carol, Mila, and Nero to find out what's going on. They find out about Murga, who is a water dragon just like Lilac, who knows about what the Magister's people have done to the water dragons years ago, and wants revenge on them for it. She has henchmen working for her like this monkey with an annoying voice named Aw.
Oh my gosh, you're so cute! Who's a cute little vandal? Who's it?
Carol's sister Corazon, who's actually packing heat, Captain Claw, who's a wannabe superhero that gives me a lot of vibes of Captain Cork from Ratchet and Clank, and Ascal, who was originally working with the main crew, but then switched sides when Murga told him about the Magister's race. So now Lilac, Carol, and Nero have to stop her plans that are awakening an ancient airship about Bacchanal to destroy Avalis's moon and leave the planet to die. So I think the story in this game was a massive improvement over the last game's story, and I feel like that's more of the fact that there's a lot more shown of what's riskier. In the first game, we're told what Brevin would do if he had the Kingdom Stone, but that was it. Here, we actually see Murga get pretty close to achieving her goal of destroying the moon, and you really see how it affects the characters and everything throughout the story. I felt like everything throughout the story was just leading up to this moment. The tone problem from the first game was fixed too, because I never felt like there was a lot of mood whiplash between scenes. There was a good balance between the serious and goofy scenes, and honestly, some of the goofier scenes were actually kind of funny. I bursted out laughing when Captain Claw revealed his motives right in front of his audience.
So this is you jumping at the chance to be a hero for real, after playing one as the Battlesphere champion. Is that it?
Battlesphere champion. What kind of hero sits in a playground all day, waiting for evil to come to him? I am a joke, an action figure. A fake legend prancing around for my beloved citizens' amusement. As if I could care any less about them sitting at home, stuffing their faces, watching me grapple for sport. But not anymore. This time, I will be the hero. This time, I will be the one who saves the world. And no one is going to stand in my way!
Ahem.
Which is what Captain Kalau would say had Captain Kalau been brain-sucked by villainous Shang terrorists.
The pacing is definitely a lot better too. There wasn't any moments in the game where I was just waiting for the cutscene to end so I can just get into the next level. I didn't feel like the story was dragging on longer than it needed to. And it really works too because the characters, in my opinion, are what really makes the story. Like, Carol comes to terms with her sister working with the site that she's trying to take down. Mila learning more about her origins and where she comes from. Nero learned to open up more and try to trust people. And Lilac learning more about the history of her race, the Water Dragons. It really feels like she was conflicted about how to feel about working with the man who basically wiped out her entire species, but she doesn't inflict revenge on him either. I get the feeling that if there's a third game in development, we might dive a little bit deeper into Lilac's people, and maybe even get to see her parents since she was taken away from them when she was still in her egg. Murga's a pretty good villain too, because you get where she's coming from when she wants her vengeance against the Earth Dragons, but she's not completely innocent in trying to destroy all Avalies too. Mad props to Morgan Berry as her voice actor. She does a really great job. It's that bass in her voice that she can reach which just makes her so intense and intimidating. Dawnbender is great as Lilac in this game, and I think that she's even better here than she was in the first game, and I already thought that she did a pretty good job in the first game too. For me, it's just how her voice in some scenes just really set the mood, like where she beats Murga.
I wanted to believe! I wanted to see you for what water dragons were meant to be! But our past, our history, they're nothing but chains, and we are choking on them!
That shit sent chills down my spine. But all the other characters sound pretty good here too. Carol's voice was better than the first game, Nero's voice actor was pretty good, the magic sounds pretty decent, and I was actually kind of surprised by the fact that he managed to get Chris Sabat to voice one of the characters, but at the same time, it wasn't entirely surprising because sometimes he gets a little bit too close to sounding like Vegeta. I found it kind of weird how Torque wasn't in this game. I know since Brevin was defeated in the last game, so he wouldn't really have a reason to come back. I don't know, if Serpentine could come back without Brevin, it would have been pretty cool for Torque to at least get a mention, even if it was just Lilac and the team just remembering him. But that's all I have to say about the story though. What about the gameplay? Again, I just want to make clear that I only did a full playthrough with Lilac, but I did try out all the other characters just to see how they play. Everybody has a new guard move, which lets you guard enemy attacks and also lets you counterattack, and if you want my advice, you master this as soon as you can because Freedom Planet 2 can get pretty tough at times, maybe even harder than the first game. Especially because lives are way more scarce than they were in the first game, because by the time that I got halfway into the first game, I was already at like 30 lives. Here you don't get lives from life up, but you get them from filling up your meter from collecting crystal shards, but for some reason, those extra lives you get are completely reset once you get into the next level. If you lose all your petals, you have the option to either use another one of your lives, but only have one petal, or start from your last checkpoint with all your petals back. And if you lose all your lives, you have the choice to either restart the stage or start from your last checkpoint, but it costs crystal shards to go to your checkpoint. I guess GalaxyTrail heard about people criticizing how pointless lives were in the last game and just said, fuck you guys only get 2 lives now. But besides that, I still think that Freedom Planet 2 is just as fun as the first game. The game's just as fast and frantic. I had a great time playing through these boss fight stages, and it's great to look at too. Runs at a solid 1080p 60 frames per second, and I was actually pretty shocked to see that this game can run at 240 frames per second, which is fucking crazy. My computer doesn't really have all the specs to do all that, but damn. Character sprites have so much more balance and details to them. I love how expressive they look with new character animations to convey what they're feeling. The cutscenes look great, and I love how the subtitles have more animation to emphasize the character's emotion, and the backgrounds have really nice detail, with so much more color and attention to detail bursting through the screen. But as a long-time Sonic fan, it does feel like this game can hit a little bit too close to home with the Sonic references and callbacks, and I know that the Freedom Planet series is really Sonic inspired, but I don't know. Solid 3 looks a little bit too much like Carnival Night from Sonic 3. On one level, the theme song sounds way too close to Metallic Madness. Like, you guys hear it too, right? It's a good thing that Sega's a lot more chill with the DMCA takedowns. But speaking of music, oh my god, it's so much better than the first game. I probably would have bought this soundtrack already if they put it on Steam, but yeah, a lot of great new songs. Zalskin was a great remix of the first game's main theme. I love the theme song for Zal's City Subworld. It really feels like we're at a festival, and the trumpets and the French horns are a real dead giveaway for that type of feel. There's now hub worlds in this game which lets you get from stage to stage. There's towns in between levels that are for cutscenes and to talk to other people. It's only there for world building, so it isn't really that special. There's also shops inside the hub world where you can buy stuff like potions or bonuses like time bonuses or attack and defense bonuses. But just a warning for some of you completions out there, using these items decrease your score at the end of the stages, so they're more for casual play. I only really use the time capsule one and one of the attack options, and I only use the potions until the final boss because goddamn, she was pretty tough, and I only used them because I thought there would be no checkpoints like the other bosses in the game, only to find out that there was checkpoints, and I realized I just wasted all my crystal shards and I only had 1,000 left. But other than that, I never really use them that much. At the end of every stage, you're not ranked at how well you did in that level. If you don't lose any lives and don't use any items, you get a better score. If you do a no-hit run, you get an S rank. I think I only got like 2 S ranks while I was playing as Carol. The most I got were A ranks or C ranks if I was complete garbage at the level. But now let's get into the characters and how they play. Lilac controls the same way she did in the first game. She still has her signature dragon boost, but now you can stop it whenever you want so you don't accidentally mistime the boost. She still has her hair whip and that guard move that I talked about earlier. Everybody has a different ability when you can hold on to the guard button long enough. For Lilac, she does a little dash counter, which kind of reminds me of Fox's side B in Smash Bros. For Carol, unless there's someone to restore her motorcycle where she throws her disc, Mila can spawn her Phantom Qs, and Nero can end her focus mode when you guard as her. Lilac's Cyclone doesn't take up her meter anymore, so you can double jump as her as much as you want and don't have to worry about wasting energy. Really, everything I liked about her in the first game has been completely unchanged, so she's still my favorite. I think she might be even faster here than she was in the first game. I mean, just look at her go. Wait. And this applies to Carol too, except that she's even better here. She has a motorcycle and her claw combo, and I don't know if this was in the first game, but you can hold on to the attack button and you can just continuously do your claw combo move. She only has one new move and it's her best move too. She has this disc that she can throw, and Carol can just snap right into the direction that you threw it in, so it basically just gives her a double jump, and it's double the damage on boss fights too. I fucking love this move, man. And this disc technique alone makes Carol my go-to character for boss fights. Mila really got an upgrade since the last game. She still has her flutter jump and has a shield, but her shield can deflect enemy projectiles now. That's pretty cool.
So that was a fucking lie.
Thanks to her counter, she can now materialize green cubes faster, and instead of being something that you can throw, which I guess was kind of a callback to Mario Bros. 2 USA, now she can use that as her main attack method and burst, and it does a lot of damage on regular enemies and boss fights too. Not only that, but you can use it as a burst of speed if you time it just right. She also has more melee attacks like Lilac and Carol. That just leaves us with a new character, Nero Lee, and I think she's supposed to be the power character, but more graceful than Carol, who's a lot more aggressive with combat. She has a great double jump. Her special move, which can freeze enemies in their place, and it's one of her best moves. Her basic melee moves can give you some vertical speed too. Her ice powers are really great, like her vertical attack. That's really fun to use. Overall, I like Nero and all the characters for that matter. I had a pretty good time with everybody. For my main playthrough with Lilac, I played this game on normal difficulty, and I don't think that the stages were too hard. A lot of levels have puzzles for you to solve, and I like most of them, except for one in Jade Armory, where there's this puzzle where you have to push this lever. But in my playthrough with Carol and Mila, I keep on forgetting where the second lever was. Other than that, I'd say that the levels in this game were tightly designed and were pretty fun to play through. It's pretty cool that there's close to 30 levels in this game, yet none of them look alike. Every stage looks different from each other, and none of them overstays their welcome unless I'm complete trash at the level. Yeah, I spent close to 30 minutes. I do think this game is harder than the first game, but it never feels like it's impossible, but maybe the last couple of stages, but I usually expect that because the end game is supposed to be harder than the first couple of hours. Overall, Freedom Planet 1 and 2 are two great indie games that deliver on exhilarating high-speed action from the classic Sonic era. They have great production values, there's a lot to do, the music is a great listen, and the story for 2 is really good too. For $40, I feel like you'd be getting your money's worth. I mean, I sure as hell did, but if you're not sure, then I would say wait for a sale. You know Steam will now sell almost every month, but the Freedom Planet duology has become one of my favorite indie games, and to be fair, I haven't played a lot of them, but given my experience with the games that they're replicating, both Freedom Planet games come highly recommended for me, and I hope that the third game will be just as good as the last two games when it comes out in 2035. Alright, so I got a couple more videos I want to do after this, and after all that, I'm going to start my first ever double marathon, where I look at two series at the same time. The first two videos I'll be looking at that one series, and the second two videos I'll look at the other series, so I'll just be flip-flopping between each series, so I feel like it'll be a pretty cool thing for both me and you guys, so I hope you guys look forward to that. But anyway, I kind of want to break out my Let's Play series and more specifically my Sonic Rush Adventure Let's Play, so don't be surprised if you see me uploading more Let's Play videos in the future. So yeah, but anyway, all that out of the way, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.